introduce some potential drawbacks that become a hindrance that is supposed, supposedly becoming a hindrance in making this export a viable industry, and the results of and risks are a result of that. Number one, exporters must obtain licenses and permits from the Directorate General of Foreign Trade in order to comply with the export control measures. And that is a very hectic process. Secondly, the export control policies are regularly updated by the government to adapt to the global trade dynamics. Next significant point is that the legal framework that is there, the existing legal framework that is there, is very complex in the regulatory changes. The amount of documentation that is required can also be a deterring factor to the foreign investors to hinder the domestic growth of business. Another factor that can happen is that compliance costs, delay in obtaining necessary approvals and licenses, and limited access to export incentives also become a great barrier in the case of exporters. The possible policy suggestions, there are many possible suggestions that are there. A few I've listed in this paper, we have listed in this paper. First, increase in the efficiency of an organization of backward integration, especially with regard to perishable goods to protect the quality and durability. Second, dialogue and coordination between the central and the state governments should be much smoother and have a clear outcome. Third, the exporters from the respective states must be proactively supported to the state administrations. Fourth, it is necessary to create and provide a package of practices that is specific to regime and community. Pathways between landlocked production areas to the ports and terminals should be developed. Access routes from agricultural areas to the primary road network should also be developed. Transportation costs of perishables from the landlocked states have to be lowered and subsidized if possible. And green channel established at depots taking into account the volume and value to enhance the export of perishables. Moving to wrapping, the concluding remarks are that from this entire study, we can see that India has a very good projected growth rate regarding the export of agricultural products. But the trend is highly unstable and volatile, which is leading to unpredictability and unsteadiness in the growth. Policy suggestions have been made, which, if followed, has the potential to stabilize this growth trend and make the agricultural sector a viable business opportunity, generating a huge source of employment. Also, stabilizing these rates allows the government to set the guidelines for import and export activities to India through the foreign trade policy. Thank you, everyone.
Short. So, Mr. Chatterjee, thank you for your presentation. And you have chosen a very interesting research topic, this title. Now, I have some observation and questions too, particularly in the context of the basic theme of this conference, globalization. My first question is, what is the impact of globalization on Indian agro export? Particularly the challenges, you have not mentioned what are these challenges. Nowhere you have mentioned. Challenges thrown open to them, particularly by the multinational corporations. First question. Yes. I expect answer from you.
Okay, so in respect of that, sir, what we have seen is that globalization has brought in more technology. Now, the point is that the farmers of our country are not technologically advanced.
Not technology. basic, just if you think from the root level, if you cross the Ilal Bazaar or your own local market, you will find the apple of Fiji, apple of San Francisco, apple of New Zealand, apple of Australia with a sticker on each and every apple. So it is due to export, it is due to globalization. Whether our Manali, Kulu, Manali, Shimla, Kashmir apple. So that is not. Are you satisfied with the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Pertinent question.
Yes.
The answer to that is particularly no, because the imported goods are receiving much more higher attention than the goods that are
Attention in terms of what?
attention in terms of
Advertisement.
and display as well.
So in any government support to them more than the Indian farmers.
The government support to them, the foreign trade policy and the FDI policies are also there.
As you know, as all of you know, suppose the one multinational or the transnational corporation manipulating the one trade in agro trade also, that is Unilever. So they have purchased the multi acres of land in the subcontinent of India, like Indonesia and others, and they are cultivating the palm oil, even the coconut, etc. That is why our farmers are not getting the new market because they are dumping it. So that is also an adverse effect of globalization through dumping to our agro export. Okay. Anyway, so second is whether the Indian farmers are getting any challenge like logistics. Technology is one issue. Logistics support. If I want to export my apple, it is not that suppose the season is not there. So I have to store the apple. Where should I store? I have to store the cauliflower or cabbage and all these things. Where should I store? Whether that logistics support is there, is it a challenge or not?
It is a challenge, sir. Right. It is information and paper as well, because the cost of logistics regarding the perishable goods is also quite high. So it is also a problem.
And last question is whether and how much farmers, the lowest levels, 80 farmer, Romania of Bilhu is getting the benefit of export, or it is totally manipulated by the intermediaries. Yes. What is your observation? Have you searched on these points? If not, I would suggest that also give a focus on this. Is it? Because you see, suppose our own villagers, all those near Ram, Jogi, etc., who are tilling the soil and cultivating the crop, they are not getting the main benefit, they are not accrued by those middlemen. And nowadays, almost all the Indian industrialists, like say Reliance, Tata, Bajaj, even going, they have entered into agrobusiness through food mart, Spencer's, Reliance, etc. So they are giving the advertisement collected from the farmland, fish, say big basket, Blinkins, Star, Tata, etc. They are open. So whether my question is whether you have sought in your research, whether the benefit is getting or they are getting it or mostly taken by the interviewer.
The benefits that are there, they are supposed to be given to the farmers, as you said.
Supposed to be given,
It is not given. They are not getting it. They are not getting it. The intermediaries are taking it.
That is my. So that should be taken into account. Okay. So any question?
Yeah. So let me put it up on the audience. Whether if you have any question, they will just pass on that.
Thank you. Actually, I have little different observation on the issue that whether the foreign imports, sir have mentioned. So when foreign products are agriculture products specifically imported, whether customer likes this product due to as it is just like it is from Manali or some sorry, it is from Australia or some other New Zealand. Easy. Because if it's an industrial product, you know that we have some preference that I'll purchase a foreign branded television, electronics, etc. We don't like the domestic products. When income increases, we are habituated to purchase high quality foreign product. It clearly says. But I don't know whether in case of agricultural product, if it's a fruit, whether it is qualitatively improved. That's why our domestic customer, ordinary customer like me, I'll purchase foreign apple instead of domestic apple. I don't know whether it is quality is important here or price is important here. To me, if I see that the Indian apple are more tasty,
Exactly.
right, and cost effective, I'll purchase the Indian one. And due to the enough globalization, price competition is more important to capture the international market. The price is important. So, however, you say that is your observation. I don't know whether it's your personal observation or research-based evidence. Because what I say in case of industrial product, electronic products, they have research evidence. When income increases, we like to purchase the foreign dresses, right, etc., etc. High quality. Yes, but in case of agriculture products, I don't know whether it is how much.
We have not included this aspect of the research in this paper, so we will integrate that in the future.
As Sir mentioned, that is globalization. We are noting down in the.
Any other questions?
Any other question?
Okay, so we can go. So I just have a few observations about the paper. One is that you have the data that I saw. You have done it in terms of physical quantity, one part, and the other part was in the rupee value.
Yes.
Now, in the rupee value, there could be a problem of the exchange rate. So you have fixed that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, you fixed that. Okay.
Website.
Okay, so that's good. Then what you see is if you go to that data, there is a certain jump. So there are certain points which have been like from 2010-11 these jumps. Why suddenly there's a spike? You have to check on that. That's number one. Secondly, about you put in a macro model of the agro products, but you have not gone for segmentation. You need to identify which products have been sold more or which products have a certain potential, and then you can frame some policies on those particular products. So the macro framework has to be brought down to the micro framework. That's the second thing. The third thing which I was very surprised is that you haven't taken investment at all. So the FDI or even the investments in the agro processing industry, that's very important from where the investments are coming. And if you don't include that, your policy will not be fulfilled. So you should identify the investment areas in the agro products also. So those are the two observations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we end this session and we call upon the next presenter, Ramesh Chettri from Rampurhat College, and the title of the paper is Cross-Border Trade in the Eastern Himalayas of Sikkim, India, assessing its impact on local livelihoods. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, respected chairperson and co-chairperson and distinguished all the participants. I am Dr. Ramesh Chettri, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Rampurhat College. My topic is on cross-border trade in the Eastern Himalayas of Sikkim, India, assessing its impact on local livelihoods. So if you look about the cross-border trades between India and China, basically there are three formal border trades. One is Sipila in Himachal Pradesh, another one is Livelihoods in Uttarakhand, and third one is Nathula in Sikkim. So we are discussing about Nathula cross-border trade and its impact on local livelihood. So let us find the map. Where is Nathula? That's in Sikkim, in the eastern part of Sikkim. So this is the Indian borders with neighboring countries. If you look at the total length of borders in India, we have 50,106 kilometers. Out of that, India shares with China 3,488 kilometers, and the length of the border, longest length of the border with Bangladesh, and shortest is Afghanistan. So this is the map of Sikkim. So we're discussing, we are talking about the not border trade. Look about that, not only the trade, cross-border trade, but if you look about the small state of Sikkim, Sikkim is great in terms of cross-border tourism also. Sikkim is bordered by three international borders, China from the north, Nepal from the west, and Bhutan from the east, comprising eastern part of Sikkim. Nepal is world's highest mountain highway trade pass located 4,328 meters above sea level. It is the ancient Silk Road situated 56 kilometers from the capital of the state of Sikkim and 52 kilometers from Chinese border town of Yadu and around 400 kilometers from Tibetan capital Lhasa. The river trade our own gestation trade because there was war between India and China in the year 1962. That time the trade was closed. And after the gestation trade of 45 years between India and China, this trade was opened on 6 July 2006. The sign of agreement between the government of India and China on the reopening of the trade route by Maulana is of critical importance to their political economic relations. Now, basically, before we have to go to literature review. So here I have used the diplomatic analysis, and if you look about the cross-border trade and cross-border tourism by taking the five keywords, I found that number of the papers in the year. So I have the literature review. So here the research gap is that no full literature review on cross-border trade have been studied so far in India. The in-depth study of cross-border trade in Sikkim Himalayas has not been measured by any other audience studies. This study addresses the gap by investigating the impact of cross-border trade on the local life products. So this is the objectives of my paper, examine the potential of cross-border trade in the eastern Himalayas region of Sikkim, analyze the impact of cross-border trade on the livelihood of local communities. So this is the methodology part. Which are this paper is descriptive and analytical in nature. So I have collected data from 200 respondents. So sampling techniques here I have used the stratified confidence sampling techniques. Here I have made the self-structured questionnaires showing the items of questionnaires are here and that is related with tourism. Third, the data collection textures I have collected and secondary data. And statistical tools, here I have both descriptive and inference statistical tools. Yeah, this is the difficulty statistics before going to any survey. We have to identify what are total numbers of millions of people in Sikkim. So this is some massive distant demographic statistics that how I collected the data from the eastern Himalaya region of Sikkim. So this is very interesting thing that if you look about the scenario of the export and import, because my main objective is to look about the from the how to move from globalization to globalization also. Because as we know, in India, 86% of the 80% of the carbon that comes from Sikkim only. But the reality is that no any carbon is exported from this particular region of Calcutta. If you look at export and import from the year 2006 to 2020, so here we have identified that there is a positive impact or the export rather than the import that we can find there is a good impact on the livelihood of these local communities. So here the maximum export is 63 crores 38 lakhs. We can see the export is greater than the import, and the minimum is that 8.87 lakhs in the year 2006-7, and we have the maximum minimum that import is 1.35 lakhs, where the import is greater than the export. So the export is greater than the import. So this is very interesting thing about the tourism that you all know that maximum tourists come to Sikkim. And then we're going to look at the China cross-border trade to look about the total number of the tourist flow is 55 in the year 2011, and the total revenue generated from the tourists that is 1 crore 11 lakhs, 4,440. So this is a clear picture of that, of how this will affect the livelihood of local communities. So it's very interesting. From the trucks that each fly from the Siliguri to Sikkim, from Sikkim to Rampurhat. So if you look at the trucks contributions that the incoming generation, which I have projected here, that if the trucks, if one trucks carry 4 tons, then it will be 0.27 crore rupees. So this is some of my projections. So I classify it in based on my projections. The daily movement of audit primary trucks along the regions from Sikkim to Rampurhat could show a 8,000, 12,000 person per annum. So it's very interesting thing, including drivers, cleaners, mechanics, loaders, warehouse, people, etc. And could have major impact in the region, including the establishment of hotels, restaurants, travel communities on the other side. This would lead a large scale income generation on both sides of the borders. So basically, I have taken the 20 questions, so I go to the factor analysis. So before going to factor analysis, we have to go to the whether the KMO and the market space is sufficient or not. So by reading this particular figure, we can see that we can proceed to the factor analysis. So these are the few questions which I have used for collecting the data. So this is the no I and the factor rodents are given here. So if you look about the variables that influence the livelihood of the local community. So I have classified on the basis of tourism, income opportunities, transportation, and shopping. Based on the factors voting in the above in this particular table, the influencing factor, statement number 16 and the statement number 7. That is the amount of activities taken significant role. One is the tourism industry for the residents community. So based on the factors voting in the above, the most significant factors are the 16 and the 7. Items which factors voting less than 0.5 was dropped for further analysis. In the above table, the variance in terms of major tourist destinations have community of value of 0.5 is to the cutoff value for variables in this study is 0.2. So the 5 factors will avoid this by 0.439%. So if you want to the reliability of this particular data, reliability name of this variables that for 1 6 variables are given the name cost, customer and trade both in Sikkim. As another one, I have the name local trade and tourism resumptions as by source. And third one is income opportunities where the extracted variables is 4. And fourth one is local trade cost tourism both in Sikkim. The extracted variables is 3. Sikkim and the adjoining regions as tourists of that variables 1. So if I have the calculated the descriptive method of statistics that the highest mean value is in the questionnaires that Q P5 that is the major mountain peaks and high altitude lakes in Himalayan region of Sikkim such as Kalam and others some with regional tourist destinations. So this is the average mean value which I have calculated and I found the highest mean score is in terms of this particular Q5 and Q1. So regarding the one, Sikkim and Executive region can be quarterly of road connectivities, amenities, and communication facilities are provided. So it's very important, interesting to say that the people's their curiosity of the open the non trade. So I have played on the list of that particular questions and things where they are shown from this kind of means.
Yes.
Cross border trade and political funds. So the social political status of the people for both of the countries. Himalayan region. North is could use this route for both tourism and trade and investment. If locally produced goods such as cardamom, flora and fauna, dry chili, bamboo, chopped sticks, handlooms, bamboo sapling, silkworm, woolen carpet, orchid woolen carving, and Kanga painting, etc. are promoted more for trade to the region of growth of the regional growth of Sikkim could be better ensured. One of the cross-border trade and tourism is Sikkim, the infrastructure related to trade and tourism, such as travel service, transportation, telecom, shopping, restaurants, health and emergency services, recreation and entertainment, etc., should be developed and border tourism destination in Sikkim. With a new study on all dimensions, not just trade, the political, economic, social, and security aspects have to explore to the regional development benefits for all stakeholders. Further research can be done in examining the needs of the informal formal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pratim, for your special thanks to you because this is my very passionate area, your place. That's Himalaya region. We have chosen such topic. Now, some fundamental question. Anything which is related to trade, two aspects come into the picture or should be considered. One is composition of trade and direction of trade. You have mentioned direction of trade, China, Nepal, Bhutan, etc. What are the compositions? Means what are the items that are traded when we exported from Sikkim to other neighboring countries? This is my curiosity also. Say, number one, yes.
Sir, because sure, sir. So because of limited time, I have not included here. But
Is it there? Is it there? Just one or two.
But I was mentioning, sir. This is outdated items. Presently, if you look about the export item, we have 36 items that
36.
that is
Okay.
from
But we should have mentioned 36 only.
yes.
Another question related to this. You have mentioned some apricot or something like that. I know that Sikkim is very rich in orchid. Now, Indian orchid market, suppose in Eastern region, particularly during Valentine's Day, what type of flowers are mostly sold?
Definitely during Valentine's Day, there is a rose.
Rose. And some people also give orchid. These rose and orchid are mostly coming from Bangalore side. But your Sikkim is very enriched in orchid.
Yeah,
You export orchid.
So actually, very interesting thing is that this particular trade item, that what I am saying that 36 items was exported is exported from India to China through Maulana, and 20 items imported from China to India. These are outdated items. There are many informal cross-border trade. Like for example, I will give one example: yak tail,
Yeah.
gold steel. Although they are not going for it, this is just for namesake.
And later on, I will interact with you later on. Because I have interest in whole India. Another question. You have mentioned, you have given shown one slide regarding the demographic, right? How demographic structure is related to trade, particularly of your India. You have shown that slide, is it? How it is related to trade? You have not mentioned.
So it's very interesting that if you look about Sikkim also, that there are different class of people. Like we call as Bhutia people, real traders. And license are permitted to local people only, and maximum of the Bhutias market. And this is why I have selected this particular demographic factors also. And those who are different, they are getting license to do the trade. But those who are rich class people and those who are from the Bhutia factor, they are getting the trade license.
You have also rightly mentioned about the impact on livelihood through the employment generation. The generation that you are his employment or supportive employment generation. My question, my curiosity is whether there is any direct impact on manufacturing employment. Because so far as my knowledge goes, Sikkim has manufacturing units of some pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, right.
So those pharmaceutical companies give direct employment.
Yeah.
Whether there is any scope or whether there has been any establishment of manufacturing, export-oriented manufacturing.
Yeah.
Do you make question?
Yes, I got
This
it.
is my curiosity. I do not know.
So it's very interesting to say these things on the room. Say that they make the least are here. But they usually export, like for example, even the tea leaves are not,
Yeah,
even more clear in the list.
Temiti is very famous, like the Temiti, yeah. So Rabangla, that is from the Rabangla.
That Timothy number.
Temiti, right?
Actually, that these are also not mentioned. For Like for example, even the Kalam, as we say, Amachi, local language, this was not exported. Even we say as a Dalda. This is, for example, Parle, yeah, the price of one Parle packet is 3 rupees. I asked to the traders of Chinese traders, they said that Parle in China is 10 rupees. These all are the informal trade items, although it is happening in that particular region.
And while we go to Nakula, on the left hand side, there is a market. Okay. Is it that it is the Indian products that are sold or Chinese are also allowed to sell their product? Then if you have visited Nakula, you'll find that on the left hand side, just before Nakula 10 kilometers before, there is a market full of green room.
That particular market name is Sirapa, as we call it. And in Chinese and yes, Ringer. So basically, for traders, there is only 2 days for that trade month. One is Tuesday, and another one is the Thursday. And similarly, in Chinese and Sri Lanka, and also there is for 2 days. One is Wednesday.
Something like art concept here on the end.
So this is very interesting picture.
Thank you. From house.
Yeah, so the questions from
I have a small observation if you allow me.
Yes.
Actually, the title of the paper is Trade. If I am not wrong, cross-border trade and Eastern Himalayas Sikkim. But here, the discussion, I have observed 2 issues. One is the trade and other is the tourism. So that's why it's my confusion. How trade and tourism are related? That's the one issue. And impact of trade on socio-economic condition. That's the issue. And I didn't have the econometric or statistical analysis here provided why the factor analysis and what is the factor analysis result and what is the interpretation. That's the one thing. And other thing is, yeah, some it's a number of trucks going and just one simple like maybe curiosity. That is many trucks are every day moving from Siliguri to Sikkim, Sikkim to Siliguri. These are all not carrying the traded commodity on. Many commodities are Indian commodities because from the Siliguri market, vegetables are actually going to the hills. So how you have demarcated that one truck is carrying the traded product and some other truck is carrying
Or some stickers.
that is the issue. And the main important part is the linkage between trade and tourism because your analysis is related to the tourism. That is my conclusion.
Yeah. So any other questions on? Okay. So then you will answer that.
Thank you so much, sir, for the questions. So related to the cross-border trade and tourism. And this is very interesting thing. Although I visited that place several times and I thought that the main purpose of doing cross-border trade is tourism also. Because even for the place like Lafuna, nearby we have Chongule, and nearby this particular place was known as the Silk Route during the British Raj system. During that time, that trade was utilized as the Silk Route. So this is directly trade and tourism. So those who visit, they visit Lafuna. And in Maitra, the reason was is trade also. So we don't Maitra.
I will add something to satisfy his questions. You have the right direction, but I will add more.
I just have one clarification. Don't confuse between formal trade and informal trade. See, what gets added to the GDP is the formal trade, where the youngster will not be there, I'm sure. So, if there is of course, it's because it's a border area, there is certainly informal trade that possibility is there, but that will not come into the GDP, number one, or the export import, national import.
Yes, sir. That is not related to the
Yeah, the second part is Nagula itself is a picturesque site. So I'm leaving out the trade part. If you leave out the trade part, even then, even people will go to Nagula because it's a tourist spot in one. And the third is also there is a military zone there. So, you have to take that into consideration also, because if it's a tourist spot and the trade route and there is a military base there, these three are actually separate issues. So, those things you have to keep in mind. That's my.
Yeah, so that is the huge.
Right, and something. If all of you think of the balance of payments table, there are two columns. On the left hand column, we have export or credit. On the right hand, we have importables or debit. Now, on the left hand column, credit column, if you consider row 1, the first row is visible exports. That is items that are exported. Second row is invisible exports. Tourism, which is in the service sector, comes in the category of export of invisible trade. So the more and more Indian tourists or foreign tourists enter into India or your place, so you are earning revenue. So you are earning through exporting your beauty. That is invisible trade. That it has certainly positive impact. You get the point?
Research is exclusively on the Nakula border.
No. Even the question is, there are enough tourists, even the foreign tourists I have seen. Foreign tourists, they visit to Nakula. But they are coming to Sikkim. Not say Nakula, but they are coming to Sikkim. To Gangtok, through the Gangtok, so they have
I will take one picture. Regarding cross border, tourists will come to that particular trade market. So, and tourists will take the products of, like, for example, one product, Banga painting. And say
this is more upward. Why you have to go Pinterest?
Thank you. Next, so next speaker is Saurabh Chakraborty and Bhaskar Goswami, and the title of the paper is Exchange Rate Dynamics and its Spillover Effect among the BRICS nations. So, please, will you visit notes?
Single dynamics in lower effect among the business. As we all know, that due to the rapid globalization and the establishment of trade alliance, the world has become more interconnected to each other, both directly or indirectly. The growing interdependence can be viewed as limitation on the potential risk of transmitting economic instability, as noted by the International Monetary Fund in 2007. As a result, the crash of US stock markets in 1987 did not just affect the US, also which impact different aspects of the global financial markets. Similarly, the Asian financial crisis in 1997 and the economic downturn in India in 1991 had its repercussion effect on all other countries. In simple terms, it is like systematic risks, which typically originates within a country's border, creating its influence on the country. Currency has found its place as an asset in the investor's portfolio, among other assets. Hence, understanding how currency influences others has a major vital concern for all the investors and other researchers also. However, the level of international trade is closely linked to how much currency fluctuates. When currency prices are volatile, it poses more significant risk for both exporters and importers. Furthermore, investors explore diverse opportunities in global markets. They do not directly engage in the currency trading. They can't escape the currency risk in their portfolio. To illustrate, if one invests in the US market, any changes in the value of US dollar compared to one currency will impact his or her returns. This underscores the importance of understanding the currency markets in the currency market. First one is the de-dollarization. Rich nations are actively seeking to reduce the reliance on the US dollar in international trade. Initiatives including promoting trade in local currencies, developing alternative payment systems, the SWIFT network. Local currency trade, India has been at the forefront with the Reserve Bank of India allowing export and import to be settled in rupees. This move aims to internalize the
to be a strengthen the economic ties within the BRICS. Alternative payment system, China's cross-border interbank payment systems and Russia's system for transfer of financial management are example of BRICS countries developing their own payment infrastructure to facilitate the cross-border transaction, reducing dependence on Western financial system rather than the US dollar system. And for this common present, though it is on the paper, it is on the it is not confirmed, but these currencies are trying to introduce a new prices that are derived from the initial data of the these currencies. Why we choose the BRICS as over others related with this slide. The global trade, the BRICS countries account 23.2% of global market. Globally, the BRICS countries account 36.7% of global GDP purchasing power parity. Global population, every one of the BRICS nations are all popular countries. There is counted 45.2% of global population. Currency usage. These countries have been increasing the use of their own currencies with global payments, especially China. If the currency development, the BRICS countries have earlier are going to introduce a new currency that is RTI, though it is not confirmed yet. Sources of the information that are given this. You can see the trend there is the FDI imports of the BRICS nations from 1990 to 2018. As you can see that China and Brazil, the FDI imports is increasing rapidly from 1990s, and India is slightly increasing after the 2007 and 18. And if the slide today in the 2011 and 12, then it is increasing after the 2007. In the existing review of the existing literatures, as you can see, the average young group, swing zone, and colonial analysis, all are factor works on the BRICS nations and all they majorly use the methodologies of card models and leverage multiplier by times remaining efforts. Interesting bottom line numbers and research in 2022 also use the interconnections between the exchange movements of gravitations lower among the sciences of which using the physical card model and various contributions lower limits. Also the IDTF and U1 in 2018 and 1997 used the relationship between the exchange rate and stock the mixed market using the weight rate analysis techniques and platform. These are the objective of the study. The spillover effects in exchange rates is the major objective of the study. The study indicates whether the currency fluctuation in one business influence the others, highlighting the potential spillover effects affect the financial markets. Next, assessing the influence among nations. We determine how deeply these economies affect one other section, focusing on the interplay between India and its counterparts. Next, the short-term and long-term relations. The employs diverse methodologies to uncover the both immediate, that is the short-term and long-term linkages between the exchange rates of the businesses. The methodology used and the studies. The methodology is also that descriptive statistics, numerical test, Wilson co-integration test, backward influence, spillover index test, triangle causality test, and interpersonal concept. This study employs the data of exchange rate for the BRICS countries for the study of April 2004 to March 2020 on weekly basis. And all the data are from Indian rupees, Chinese yuan, Brazilian real, Russian ruble, and South African rand in terms of US dollar. In this statistical, we include both the 2008 answer prices as well as the COVID-19 year of 2022. All the data included in this study are secondary data, and the data sources are official website of International Monetary Fund, the Bank of India, and from Yahoo Finance. In this study, to obtain the exchange rate returns, we have used the equation that is the exchange rate return equal to ST divided by ST minus 1 into 100. While ST is the spot exchange rate at time t, and ST minus 1 is the spot exchange rate at previous period, ST minus 1. And we have used EBS 10 subscribers from the collection the research. Spillover index, where the spillover index is the contribution divided by the contribution in the spillover index percentage is the summation of the diagonal elements of the variance chromosomal matrix obtained from the bar relative to the number of variables. The summation of diagonal elements related to the number of variables provides the technique to measure the variance by its own source. The descriptive statistics. This is the volatility of these currencies given the electrons. You can see almost all of the currencies has the volatility clustering. Though the clustering is not much visible in terms of Russian ruble, but there is a much more relative clustering present in the US Chinese yuan, and Brazilian real and South African rand. So we will see the test, and you can see that now this is the data we need to get the data that are non-stational, but all the data are now like this for all the data has been created and all the data stational at the black order station criteria for card. We have to take the black order station for this view, and then the result shows that according to the AIC, SC, and EC criteria, the black order is 0. Because once a qualification test result. We all know that once some qualification result based on the full statistics result, there is stress test result, and otherwise maximum IGM value test. The stress test result shows that my qualification in equation all at 5%. And for maximum IGM value based also the result was similar that there are 5 qualification, then just all the business of same markets. This is the result of the spillover test. Table 8 represent the residual correlation matrix and table 9 represent the variance decomposition table. As you can say that any shock, as you can say that USD does not influence by any shock of other currencies. That is the USD is 98.5% influenced by its own shock and 1.5% from others. But the Chinese yuan also does not influence by other markets. That is, it is influenced by also 1.5%. But the South African rand, which is influenced 31.5% by others market, that is, the South African rand can influence by others market shocks. That is, USD has an important part in the financial market of the South African markets. As you said, where the total volatility spillover index is 11.1%, and this tells that on an average 11% of the variance in the dependent variable is spread by its own, and 89% depends on others. One notable finding that USD INR yes, surprisingly USD ruble basis and has negligible contribution to other currency market, whereas USD INR contributes most to the other market, that is 30.2%. USD INR impacts most of the South African rand, and other contribution to USD INR is completely negligible. South African rand which contributes to other currencies 1.1% are mostly affected by others, that is 31.5%. Chinese one neither affects others nor affected by others. So there is no spillover effect from the Chinese yen to others market or other market to Chinese yen. Traders involved in the USD INR remittances, Chinese yen need not to worry about any stocks in Brazilian real or Russian ruble or South African rand. It is South African rand is the most affected by the currency market. So the traders involved in the South African rand market is need to focus on other market for English movement. The brand possibility result, all the tables are given the brand possibility result. On table 10 and table 11, we can say that there is no unidirectional or bidirectional relationship between the Chinese, USD INR and other traders, and USD Chinese yuan and others. But the table number 12 records that USD INR has bidirectional relationship with the Brazilian real, and table 13 encompasses that the USD Brazilian real and South of Russian ruble has a unidirectional relationship, and South African rand and Russian ruble has a unidirectional business. Also, the technical part in the words that USD South African rand has a unidirectional relationship with the Brazilian real, not with others. Is the inter response function. You can clearly see that any changes in the USD, changes in the Indian currency has a negative, firstly negative impact, then it stabilizes.
On to the discussion part.
If there is lower this lower earnings in financial market of 5 countries, standing from 2014 and the major result of the British lower index was 11.1%, and the key findings reveal that Indian financial market that USD as well as most transmitter of the stocks by internal sector. This causes the policymakers to focus on managing the domestic economic condition to maintain the standard stability. Honestly, the USD South African land market is identified as the main receiver of the stock, heavily influenced by external factors. This highlights the presence of systematic risk in the South African land market, existing causes for the matter when engaging in trading productions. Interestingly, the Chinese one does not serve as either a transmitter or receiver of stock. It is a neutral market, but the importers or exporters but in investors. While the research is focus exclusively on the external spillover, it acknowledges the limitation of the analyzed time frame and the opportunity to extend the operation to other financial markets like stock market, commodity market, or crude oil market. This study is trying to provide critical insight for the policymakers and others. These are the references.
Thank you. You have, first observation, you have included all the essential parameters which are required in a paper or good publication in good journal. You have included everything. That is good. But when you are coming for any presentation is followed by discussion, and when you are doing a research, you must focus on some fundamentals. That is missing here, number one. Or where is the spillover effect? Have you ever mentioned this is the spillover effect? As for example, suppose the spillover index is 11.1%. What does it mean? We got the mathematical value 11.1%. What is the significance of 11.1%? Did you get my point? If anybody asks you, suppose those who are not in this domain of economics, how do you justify today the significance of 11.1%? Number one. Second is, when Indian rupee is depreciated against dollar, due to India's action or India's bad performance, how does it impact to the big nations, other nations? So they are showing any red eyes to India that we have done it. As for example, just the famous economist who has passed recently, Maulana, when he was there, he has made devaluation. As all of you know, devaluation is distinctly different from depreciation. So he has devalued Indian currency when he was the finance minister, probably Narasimha Rao was the prime minister. So if India devalues again, how they will take it? The big nations, will it affect the entire trade among the nations of BRICS? What is your opinion?
It can be also
First, that's 11.1%. What's the logical? No, you forget about this. The ECG type. Forget. Logic. By logic.
Sir, the return spillover index is the contribution to others divided by the contribution including.
In terms of simple language or example, you give root level example that employment has increased, revenue has increased, foreign exchange reserve has increased. Like this.
So I must use more variables in this. Science lesson regarding which variable may I include in this study?
Actually, you see, in my research or during my over 40 years of experience in research and teaching, I always give suggestion to the students that always explore the fundamentals. We are very efficient in preparing papers using the modern methodology which are available through software. But many of us do not know what is the logical requirement of using this method or that. So during when we go for any expert and PhD interview, I ask the question, why you have used this methodology instead of that methodology? You have to be very clear on this. Because in future you will be a teacher also.
Mentioning few things you can discuss with your teacher also. I'm not asking all questions to you. You are a research scholar and also. Bhaskar is also a guy, no? I know him very well. First of all, your qualification result is a little bit actually check. Why? You see, how many qualifications are there? Full rest. It is possible only in case of stationary data.
Yes, I already mentioned the data system.
No. If the data is stationary, no question of using qualification. Then what is the meaning of system of qualification analysis? That is number one. Basic problem starts from the data. You see, from your graph, why do you have checks seasonality of the data? No, and your data for data of stationary is what data is stationary or not stationary? This is the first question for language exercise. You have to confirm whether the data is stationary or not stationary. If it is stationary, no need to use coincidence analysis. You have to do that. Vector operation, maybe structural var or standard var, many other functions I use to var. Then why the coincidence? Okay. Secondly, you have said that your coincidence result is for lag one, but here criteria same as lag one. Zero. That is completely contradictory. And in function analysis based on for which model? Inconsequential function is the extension of either coincident var or structural var or standard var. So which var model you have used, you have to confirm first. Otherwise, if it is standard var, how many values we have taken? Otherwise, all results will be spurious and interpreted on right to do the last question. There are other things.
Thank you.
So we can invite. Thank you. So we'll move on to the next presenter to Tono Sheikh, and the title of the paper is Exploring Quality Quantity Trade-off Under Globalization, an Analysis in the Presence of API and AI. AI means artificial intelligence.
Good afternoon. My name is Kalam, and I am going to present this paper titled as Exploring Quality Quantity Trade-off Under Globalization and Analysis in the Presence of FDI and Artificial Intelligence. And it is a paper for my ongoing PhD thesis, along with my professor, along with my guide, Professor Gupta. So the still analysis part is going on for this paper. So it's just a working paper. Let's proceed to the introductory part. Global, looking our economy on the world economy. So, globalization today will not encompasses more than carry or investment things. It is now globalization means transmission of knowledge. Globalization means transmission of technology, etc. Artificial with that rapid growth of, I can say the FDI creates a vital factor for boosting countries' production scenario. I try to just capture how that two things, FDI and AI, to make any type of impact on the quality, more or quantity. Will I consider the service sector to analyze my study basically. Quality means the service quality or the production of service quality basically. These are some literature that I coming across during my course of study for this paper. Basically, the fundamental work done on the quality by Acharya and Jones on 2001, and followed by Chatterjee Gupta in 2015, Maitra Chatterjee Gupta in 2018. Boston Gupta considered the candidate analysis in the trade model. There is some other theoretical works by FDI, works on FDI and AI by Azad Martin 2000, Martin and 2003, Martin Bellati Chakraborty 2004, and so on. We see there are ample amount of works on that quality quantity data, but when we confine ourselves to only to the theoretical ones, then the size of that narrowed down. There are few papers regarding that regarding the theoretical model on the quality issues, quality quantity issues. And also there are lack of studies of how FDI and AI to influence the quality quantity data. in the service sector. And so I want here to address the lacuna that are existing literature by focusing on the quality quantification in the context of a general equilibrium model, obviously, for the LDC or the level of interest. This is the basic structure of my hypothetical model. I do consider a small open economy here with three sectors of trade sector, agriculture sector, export competitive agriculture sector, manufacturing sector, import competitive manufacturing sector, and a final service sector. And we have to consider four factors of production. Field labor and the foreign capital is specific to the unskilled labor is specific to the agriculture sector, whereas the foreign capital is specific to the service sector. There are two other factors which are mobile factors, basically domestic skilled labor, basically mobile between manufacturing sector and service sector. This is basically the structural view of my what I going to this paper. This is the equational structure. Obviously, that followed the new classical gate to the general equilibrium belongs to global basically. That followed that. Equation 1 and 2, basically the equational structure, I system, that box basically give 1, 2, 3 is the I system, whereas the 4, 5, 6, 7 are the full the factor allocation system or full employment equation in other words. Equation 1 and 2 follow the perfect competition market, but some flavor of imperfect competition arises with equation 3 here. Here price and it is the unit labor requirement for the service sector become a function of quality. Now quality is a qualitative measurement. How do I capture that in my paper? I consider quality as a continuum. With the zero quality, this is the worst quality, no quality is there. Highest quality means once. And then 0.1, 0.2 increases, quality increases. More quality product require more capital to produce. So with increase of Q, it is at also increases. And if the price of that service is increased, we need a more quality product, we have to pay more for it. So Q increases, PZ also increases with that.
I just have one clarification. What does zero quality mean? That means it will not be produced, right?
No. Zero quality is the budget product. No.
Qualitatively inferior.
Specification.
One month of the product. That idea is borrowed from the paper by Chatterjee of 2001. Here I also consider the famous marginal cost, that profit maximization situation, that is MC equal to MR condition, that is AKZ dash equal to Z dash. Now from here we can find that from equation 1 and 2 I can say that W is a function of R and W is also a function of R. But when we consider equation 3, I can find R is, which is the return to the foreign capital, is a function of quality and R also. By the equation number 8, I can eliminate the effect of Q from RF, and now RF become a function of R only. So every factor prices are now in terms of.
So what is the sign of the derivatives? Sorry, sign of the derivatives. Is there any specification that A kz prime is negative or positive?
No, positive. Requirement is positive also. Unit requirement.
No, prime da.
A prime.
kz prime.
Oh, this is the first derivative.
So the positive or negative?
Quality respect is a positive. AKZ is a positive factor, so quality respect is a
Price
positive.
zero positive.
More quality product, more price. I can say P dash change is willingness to pay by the consumer for a quality product.
Yes.
Asia, these are functions of quality, but in smaller economy, how the price changes, change prices in the large country.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Still let him complete the paper, present, then you have the
I think it's a clarification question. Just once more, what is the point?
Actually, there is mentioned that P is a function of quality, that's a third equation. But if it's a small open economy, in small open economy, how price changes? So small open economy will not affect the price. Since it's a large country, then it can affect the price.
Price changes means, one and, question is one and two is prices given, okay?
No,
We
no,
are the
I'm
price
asking
taker.
about third equation. Yes, the functions of quality, but you already mentioned that it's a small open economy. In small open economy, how price affect change? Because to change the price, this will be a.
No, actually something happened in the production black box that is not discussed in there. So you just take the price equation. So price is depends on the quality that somehow it comes from the production box.
Influence the global price.
whether they are
That's a
allowed
profit
or they
maximization
can.
from the profit maximization.
আমি বেশি টাকা দেবো ভালো কোয়ালিটির প্রোডাক্ট
No. Whether a small country like say Bangladesh or say Nepal, Bhutan, etc., they are allowed or they are enabled to change the capability, to change the prices. That is your question.
Sir, I think that could be a part of the oligopolistic system, that third equation. Oligopolistic G can have price.
I think that should be mentioned.
But they also-
In your model, Q is determined or Q is given?
It was given first.
Q is given.
Then I do
For each Q, there is our equation price equation. So his price is given.
So that
It is given by question.
doesn't change over time. Decline does not happen.
No, that comes from the production black box.
No, but if it the black box which is invisible,
Yes,
but
yeah.
for a small country,
Price
that
is
black
given.
box will not change.
If the assumption is price is
I
given,
think you should go
Price
to
is-
the
For a small country, that is not.
Acharya wrote paper. There is some microproduction.
Just go through that. This one.
So all the factor prices now become a function of smaller. Now we have 8 equation with 8 unknown followed by Q2 indecomposable in nature. That's why we will do consider to locus to solve that model. I do take equation 5, 6 and 7 and get the equation of the locus or get that equation 4.1 which is the locus for skill labor endowment and and from 8 we can get 8.1. Now what happened to the 4.1 here? If R increases, then ASM and AK, if R increases, then AKM is reduces. Is a direct function of more cost, capital become more costlier, so we require more, less capital here now for production. To maintain that balance, we have to increase the Q. That's why AKZ increases and the whole thing reduces to maintain the S. So we are having a positive relation between R and Q for that SS locus. Now for Q, for 8.1, if Q increases, that means AKZ dash AKZ prime increases. To maintain that, we have to reduce the RF. RF and R having a positive relationship, so R have to be reduced. So there is a negative relation between Q and R for that locus. For the intersecting point, we get the equilibrium Q and R here, and then put the value of R in equation, and we got every answer from here. This is the working on the model. Now I try to find the effect of FDI. Now the time for the competitive study, I want to find the impact of FDI on quality, that quality thing, and later I want to examine the effect of AI on quality. Now, if the foreign inflow increases, that means KF increases, means the SS curve now shift to the rightward. Now SS shift to the S to S dash means that Q
increases, Q quality increases, that obviously makes the R decrease quotient. And what happened now? Their Q increases, that's a AKZ increases. KF increases, that FDI inflow increases. But what happened to the total production in service sector? Quality increases. Thus, we analyze what happened to the service sector here. There is an ambiguous result that quality increases obviously with the foreign capital inflow, but we couldn't conclude anything about the size of service sector. Proceed to the AI, effect of AI on quality. Here, I do consider beta as a shift parameter. That means more beta means use of more AI in service sector, and with the common belief that use of more artificial intelligence displace the worker. Now, skilled labor is specific to the service sector. That's why the displacement happens for the skilled labor force only. More beta means less requirement of skilled labor, ASL increases. Now, what happened here? Beta increases, ASL decreases, so that create a leftward shift to the SS curve. That means Q decreases here, R increases. Now, we put that value of Q in that equation, what we get? Q decreases, so it is a have to decrease. To maintain the balance, we have to increase the size of service sector here. So, we came to that conclusion that the increased use of AI causes a trade-off between money. Means quality decreases, but in that service, the production of service sector is increases, but the produce service is now become more less quality product. Now from here we conclude to result here that FDI increases the overall quality of that service that produced in our economy, but we couldn't conclude anything about the size of service sector. And for AI, that decreases the overall quality, like Chatterjee. The production of quantity production is huge by a fraction of second in Chatterjee, but the quality of the produced thing, সেটা কতটা ভালো আছে we couldn't conclude anything about that. So for AI, that decreases the overall quality, but quality decrease, quantity increase here, and FDI have increased the overall quality, but we couldn't conclude anything about the production, the size of the production, what happened to the service sector production. So this is all from my side, and I'm thankful to all the judges and this is my first presentation ever in any international conference.
Oh, that's fine. Congratulations for more. Come to the previous slide. Just forget about all these economics and these econometrics, etc. Come to the basic grassroots level. Give an example of FDI. Give an example of AI.
I can say agencies, the agencies will actually they have
Practical example of it. Practical example of FDI in India, in West Bengal, in Durgapur. Is there any FDI in Durgapur?
service sector to consider for example.
Service sector. Examples.
Deloitte, the multinational corporations.
Deloitte, right. ঠিক আছে সার্ভিস সেক্টরে তাহলে এই Deloitte FDI increases overall quality of the services provided by the service sector. So the functioning of the Deloitte, it impacts favorably to whom? Deloitte people, or to the other companies, Accenture, TCS, CTS, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, whom? Impacted favorably, right? To whom? That is my question. You get my point? Don't answer. এটা একটু ভেবে দেখতে হবে
Favorable to your quality, na?
Quality
Quality of the product.
Quality of service quality তো One is it has intensified the competition. Number one. FDI certainly has intensified the competition. So while Deloitte is adopting the modern technology, like say AI, so certainly it will force other companies to adopt the similar technology because it is a competitive one. You can think of that direction. So can you give an example of how AI increases the quality? Yeah. Or to what extent AI is different from digital one? Are they same or different? AI.
That's considered
And AI is a practical example of practical example. Yeah. From ChatGPT, right? So how this ChatGPT is related to the FDI? How it is related?
আলাদা আলাদা নিচ্ছে এআই একটা এফেক্ট দেখতে চাইছে কোয়ালিটির উপরে সার্ভিস দ্য প্রোডাক্টস এন্ড এআই এর একটা এফেক্ট দেখতে চাইছে দ্যাটস আ থিওরিটিক্যাল মডেল জাস্ট টু কনসিডার দ্য ম্যাথমেটিক্স এন্ড
suppose whenever you open your mobile, suppose you are doing chat on WhatsApp or whatever it is, so suddenly something appears on the screen. So that is the application of AI also, right? And so it increases or it attracts the customer, the mobile users. So the mobile users becomes the customer of the product, which is being advertised digitally through that opening of that
pop-up
anyway.
Anyone on the floor? Yes, please.
So, first I have a suggestion. Whenever you mention about the quality, then the literature of economics is important.
I will consider that.
My question is, what in the sector that which is when the prices are very low, so what do you follow, CRS or IRS? Or and one more question is, what is the role of DMP in your model?
Sorry?
Reducing marginal productivity.
I don't consider CRS for there is no scope for DRS.
Right?
There is no DRS.
So actually, he has not considered that part. He has considered only this one: quality, quantity through FDI and AI.
But to your coefficient, labor coefficient and all.
Any other questions from the floor?
So in your AI model, so you cannot capture the FDI effect, no? To fix the FDI. But when you introduce the model, there is no AI, and then you start increasing FDI and you just check the road, right? Now you shift the regime. Suppose beta equals to either 0 or beta equals to 1. So without AI or full AI, right? Now you check something where FDI does not change. So is these two are same comparison?
There are two comparative strategy here. Just I want.
Yeah, I understand. But first comparative static result and second comparative static result cannot compare to each other. So you want to compare FDI effect and AI effect. But that I think that research question does not capture the methodology.
Please have a look at that.
What is the production technology?
All these queries and solutions should be considered for future
Right.
refurbishing of the paper, republication, etc. Extension of the paper. Okay. Since you are the first, so you're a good debut. Good debut.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And now we'll go to the last presenter for this session, Maitra from University of Gour, and the title of the paper is Moderating the Role of Globalization in Total Fertility Rate Decline in India.
Respected chairperson, sir, co-chairperson, and all other participants and audience who are gathered here. The title of my presentation is Moderating the Role of Globalization in Total Fertility Rate Decline in India. Actually, the total fertility rate declines gradually in almost all developing countries of the world. And particularly in the year 2024, it is highlighted in Lancet, journal in detail. Then the global fertility trend and this declining trend is alarming. I am using the term alarming in the sense that nowadays we know that in Japan, it's a grey economy in the sense that it's the economy of old people. And many other European countries and some other developed Asian countries also facing this type of problem. The total fertility rate declines drastically, population growth rate declines drastically, and it has many consequences. Not only the economic consequences, it has social consequences. We know the story of Japan, what is happening in North Korea. The president sometimes is crying in front of the journalists, the citizens, the eligible couples. They are not taking the children. Then what will be the future of the country? I mean, even in our Indian economy and our neighboring country, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and even in Nepal also, the total fertility rate, which was above 6 in 1970s, it declines to below the replacement level. I mean, in India, our present figure, or you can say the latest figure, the data is available in World Bank data, all development indicators. It is 2.01 in 2052, below the replacement level. Now, the issue is old, and there is intensive research have been done by the social scientists and economists. The factors responsible for the declining of total fertility rate. However, the reasons are not same. In a developed country, there is some reason, responsible factor, and in the developing countries, the responsible factors are little different. However, there are some common issues. We can say income is a very important determinant of fertility rate, particularly in the developing societies. And there are some theories. When an economy is very primitive stage of development, sometimes parents consider additional child as a reward of the family because child bearing cost is very minimum. When the child will cross the age 5 years or 6 years, the child will sent to some informal sector for earning say rupees 500 or rupees 300 per month, and it will be the income of the parents. And cost of child bearing is very less in the primitive stage. That's why in the very primitive societies, income affects fertility in particular way. But when the income exceeds a particular threshold, then quantity versus quality, this debate arises. In that case, quality of children is much more important. And parents have to think how we will grow up with my children. Because in that case, the relationship is different. And one another important issue that in the very primitive societies, life of the people are very uncertain. There is very less social security. That's why we have a conventional system that when the people will be very old, the children will take care of the parents. That's why sometimes the parents they take more children. So the relationship between fertility and income is not a monotonic type of relationship. It varies from stage to stage of development to stage of development. Educational attainment, as we measure by income, income is definitely a determinant factor. As my time is very not only a 15 minutes presentation, I'll discuss it very briefly. Education and fertility are very much closely associated, particularly with the female education and fertility are associated related. But here also we cannot find any strict relationship. Sometimes we see the female education is made highly correlated to fertility, and research evidence also shows that no, male education is sometimes more significant than fertility. It also depends what is the country's patriarchal system is followed, right? And what is the state of women, etc. Family planning and use of contraceptive is a very important determinant, but this determinant is also related to the primitive or underdeveloped society. If one researcher interested to carry research on fertility, definitely here use of contraception in the European society definitely is not very much relevant. Because when the society reaches a certain level of income or education, use of contraception is known to all. That's why the significance of contraceptive use is not the important, may not be the important issue. Urbanization is important issue, and religion issue is also an important issue, even in our Indian economy also, because many global research is under religion-wise fertility rate of the Hindus, Christians, Muslims, and many other religion across around the world. Thanks. Interestingly, what are the factors responsible for fertility decline in India? We find different types of research. Some research are based on the micro level, micro information, some district level, some state level, some regional level researches. But as these research papers are designed in very heterogeneous way, findings definitely are different. All the research has significance. Fertility rate of the tribal people, fertility rate of the non-tribal people, etc. But one interesting observation I have found here, there is a lack of macro level study. Because if we like to compare Indian fertility trajectory with the international standard, we need some macro level study. Here, instead of say tribal people's fertility rate or district level fertility rate, we cannot make comparison with the international standard. That's why total fertility rate trajectory is important, and there is a lack of macro level study on Indian economy. But another important issue is the issue of globalization. Okay? Due to the globalization, nowadays all peoples of the world are connected. We are always trying to follow the advanced modern concept, lifestyle, thought, and Western modern philosophy. It is transmitted everywhere, even in the underdeveloped countries. Even in the Bangladesh, you can see, if you see the Dhaka airport, many less educated peoples, they are going to the developed countries just for household work and all. When these peoples are working with the good families, their lifestyle, the family, the thought changes drastically. And when they are communicating with their relatives, friends of the Bangladesh, then obviously the thinking pattern, way of dimension, way of thinking became different. This is the way of globalization, how to impact the economy and society. But importantly, to the best of my knowledge, I have not found any research paper written focusing the role of globalization on fertility decline on Indian economy. This issue motivates me to conduct first a macro level study, where technique and role of globalization will be studied. But role of globalization in fertility trajectory are discussed in many other countries.
5 minutes more.
Only 5 minutes more. So that's why I have used here the globalization indicator. You know the KO globalization indicator is the well-known globalization indicator. It has dimension, economic dimension, social dimension, and political dimension, and some conventional factors: income, education. Education means education of the male and female, as well as female education separately used in my research paper. And here you see the graph is the total fertility graph. This is the globalization indicators graph, and this is the education graph, and income graph, and the population growth rate graph. Obviously, the analytical framework here is used, mainly the econometric approach and macro level study, definitely country specific study, time series approach I have to use. And here I have proposed three models. Here, the first model is estimated with the globalization indicator with secondary level education, and later on secondary education level is replaced by the higher education and female secondary education as well as female higher education, and then the economic globalization, then social globalization, and political globalization. So, no need to discuss the economic techniques well known in detail. Come to the main and coming to the main results. First of all, what is the qualification result is presented here. You see, the main findings is this: the total fertility rate has association with the globalization, with educational attainment, income, as well as the population. In the first model. In the second model, we have controlled the secondary level education by the female secondary level education. In the same way, replacing the secondary level education, I have used here the higher education and as well as the female higher education. And that's why first four models are estimated in this way. Second four models are for the economic globalization, and third four models, next four models is for the social globalization, and final four models for the political globalization. The important observation is political globalization is not associated, and it is also logical. I have written in detail why political globalization is not much essential or not much important determinant of the party. And then here, this is the economic approach. No need to discuss in detail. First, the main analytical reason. You know the econometric approach has two dimensions. One is the long run dimension of the analysis, other is the short run dimension of the analysis. In the long run dimension only, globalization in general and the globalization has not significant impact. Whereas the secondary education and as well as the female secondary education has consequential or statistical significant impact on the total fertility rate. Population growth has some impact, but not robust impact, right? In few estimations, it shows significant impact, negative, positive impact, but in other estimations, it's not. And the impact of income is also significant in most of the models. And these estimations are for the economic globalization. Now, the important issue is the channel. It is very difficult to discuss the channel in which globalization impact the fertility. In social science research, in most of the cases, we have no standard algebraic model to present the story. Although in very few macroeconomic models, for example, overlapping generations model, and some extensions of overlapping generations model, they have considered the fertility ratio in the overlapping generations model. But one constant is this: the theoretical model, like overlapping generations model, and this practical estimation or calibration of the help of data is very challenging, because theoretical models like overlapping generations model is too much algebraic. So many assumptions are there. So that's why here transmission mechanism is not possible to explore this type of social science issue of research. So, in short, if we come to the conclusion, the conclusion is this. Yes. So, to the best of my knowledge, first time I have explored the role of globalization in total fertility rate decline in India with the help of macroeconomic framework. What is the contribution? Previous studies are mostly individual level or district level or few studies at state level, but it is the macroeconomic perspectives. That's the total fertility rate and it is determined and discussed rigorously. And here I have checked the reliability, robustness. That's why instead of a particular equations, I have used here 16 equations, so that the impact of some variable may show some misleading result. To avoid this type of ambiguity, alternative models are estimated. We know that robustness of the study can be checked in several ways. One way in econometric approach may be alternative methodology. Other way may be controlling the variable. Third way may be for the different time span. This is the conventional way of checking the robustness. Here basically controlling the variable, several variables, several estimations is estimated. This is the robustness check dimension. So this is the main issues of this paper and implication. What question, pertinent question can be raised if the fertility graph, which I have presented here, the first graph, you see, if the fertility graph follows this trend, then again India may face the problem which Japan is facing. Our fertility rate is now 2.01 in 2022. If this trend follows next 10 years, it may be below the 1.5%. It is huge social implication. Urbanization problem, unemployment problem, law and order problem. Many things will change drastically over time. So it is a serious issue of discussion for the social scientists. This is the main. Thank you.
Thank you. As Mr. Vishwajit,
Yes.
Extremely pertinent, extremely relevant topic that you have chosen. You have also mentioned some of the reasons where you have mentioned about income, education, religion, etc., etc., regarding the declining tendency of fertility. What about attitude? Whether attitude has its effect. Personally, I know some couple in my family also. They are taking children after 15 years of their marriage. They are so work prolific, work heavy, particularly maximum employment generation is in the IT sector. So at about most of them are doing this still work from home, opening the laptop at 8, having a cup of coffee on the side, and working up to 11 night, etc., etc. When they are the couple going to sleep, they are sitting on their faces on the higher side with the mobile, no talk, no discussion, no love game, nothing. And to be very candid, they are not interested in sex also. What is happening in Japan, etc. Attitude problem. They are chasing after money, promotion, and the affluence in the society. So this attitude has its impact on that. I request you to consider another trend: declining fertility. That is over biological fertility. And what about the rate of artificial reproduction technology? Rate of ERT in India. In future, we should think of it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. The attitude issue already in the conclusion.
That is very relevant.
I have mentioned in the full paper, sir.
That I see. It is very interesting.
Okay, so any questions from the floor? Anyone?
May I have one comment?
Yes, please, sir. Please, sir.
Actually, you should consider the experience of South Indian states which have managed to reduce population. And the very important factor is the monetary incentives given to couples who, especially poor households, who to adopt family planning. 30,000 to 40,000 rupees are given to each couple when they adopt family planning. This is since 1984. and they took a loan from World Bank in Andhra Pradesh and implemented. We thought it will never be successful, but to our complete dismay, it is the wonderfully successful program, and people really found it to get 30,000-40,000 at that time. A lump sum of 30,000 they never get. So this kind of government programs actually have succeeded in reducing fertility.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the issue. In Japan also, in some South Korea also.
I don't know, but they are very high.
Yeah, they are also giving this type of incentive.
More than
to the couples.
households, probably heavily incentivized.
And sir, that's the issue because already I have mentioned in my beginning that so many research have been done on Kerala, on West Bengal, on in some village, this type of studies. And here the findings, study design, highly heterogeneous, relevant. Each and every study is relevant, has implication for the local level. But in the macroeconomic framework, sometimes we have some limitations. How we will get this type of data, incentive data? Whether all government is giving incentive? Yes or no? Definitely no. We need some continuous data. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you, Sri Vishwajit Moitro for the presentation. So I would like to thank Professor Partha Sengupta for chairing this session and all the presenters. We end this session and we go to the next session, which is a panel discussion